Hello there, and thank you for joining us on a day we brought you the special edition of the Nation Leadership Forum. Focus, power of youth to drive global progress, of course, through the Sustainable Development Goals. Great insights there, even as the session was moderated by our very own Mark Masai and Amina Abdi. Well, we change gears now to the day's top stories. Tonight,
this is the most bitter truth in my life that I have to sadly accept.
Tears for Monica Kimani.
Gari pia limeangaliwa na dusting ama ile kujaribu kuipekua kuhakikisha kwamba ushahidi tunaweza pata ushahidi wa kutosha.
Police question TV journalist as investigations into the murder of 29-year-old Monica Kimani continue. Also tonight, trouble piles up for Migori governor.
The detention for the protection of the accused and the necessity to procure medical or social report pending final disposal of the case.
Governor Obado will be spending more nights in the cold cells. We tell you why. Plus, the state of the nation, the growing irritation with the government online and offline.
It's really interesting to see what this country is doing.
The president is going out with his colleagues, spending our money.
But what's making Kenyans so angry? And also tonight, the undertones in the looming Mau Forest eviction.
Has the government contracted Olekina to be the one evicting people in the Mau Forest?
Condemn the actions of both groups of leaders and ask them to stop their activities. These inflammatory statements forthwith.
NCIC warns Narok senator in latest attempt to put out the flames of violence in Alpusimoru.
NTV Tonight with Gladys Gashanja.
Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Atieno. We start off at the courts, and Migori Governor Okoth Obado will spend 10 more nights in remand prison after he was denied bail. Obado, his personal assistant Michael Oyamo, together with Caspal Obiero, who is a clerk for Migori County Government, have been charged with the murder of Sharon Otieno early this month. NTV's Seth Olale followed the proceedings at the Milimani Law Courts.
In contrast to the two previous court sessions, Migori Governor Okoth Obado was this time flanked by family members, senior Migori County government officials, members of county assemblies, as well as former Kisumu Governor Jack Ranguma. The late Sharon Otieno's close family members and lawyers also arrived just in time for the ruling on Okoth Obado's bail application. During a 10-minute judgment, Justice J.C. Lesit ruled that the prosecution had compelling reason to have the accused detained further.
Compelling reasons include a consideration of the nature of the offense, the strength of the evidence which supports the charge, the gravity of the punishment in the event of conviction, the previous criminal record of the applicant, the probability that the accused may not present or surrender himself for trial, the likelihood of further charges being brought against the accused, the likelihood of the accused interfering with witnesses or misappraising evidence that may incriminate him, the probability of finding the applicant guilty as charged, the detention for the protection of the accused, and the necessity to procure medical or social report pending final disposal of the case.
The High Court judge also clarified that while one is presumed innocent until proven guilty, the accused can still be denied bail if the prosecution has convincing, compelling reasons.
Opposition to granting of bail is not a violation of that right. That is why the Constitution uses the words "unless there are compelling reasons." That puts a duty on the prosecution to place before the court any evidence they may have on compelling reasons for consideration by the court.
Obado's bail denial means that the Migori governor will remain in remand for 10 more nights before appearing in court on 8th October, same day when his county will conduct a by-election for the vacant senator position. Another murder suspect, Caspar Obiero, who is a clerk at the Migori County government, pleaded not guilty to murdering the Rongo University student. Obiero was also denied bail after the prosecution requested the court to consolidate Obiero's and Michael Oyamo's bail hearing on 8th of October. All the three accused and charged persons in this particular murder case will for the first time be lined up together. This is after the case was consolidated by the prosecution. They are set to appear here at the Milimani Law Courts on the 8th of October. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi County.
Elsewhere, detectives have questioned TV journalist Jackie Maribe, the fiancé of the main suspect in the murder of Monica Kimani. Investigations into her death are centralized at her apartment, which was the scene of the crime, and a vehicle believed to have been used by the suspect on the day of the murder. While this was taking place in Nairobi, neighboring Kiambu County, friends and family gathered to celebrate her life as they urged the relevant authorities to be swift in their investigations to ensure that justice is served.
Journalist Jackie Maribe emerged from the Kimani police station hours after walking in. She had been summoned to record a statement to shed light on events surrounding the alleged attack on her fiancé last week. Joseph Rungu, who reported the matter to the police on the evening of the attack, is a key suspect in the murder of Monica Kimani, who was found dead in her bathtub with her throat slit. A vehicle suspected to have been used by Irungu on the day he was seen at her apartments was also dusted for prints by detectives as homicide detectives revisited apartment A8 at Lamuria Apartments in Kilimani in search of more clues.
The officers are trying to go out of their way in trying to compile as much evidence as possible. This is a situation where we are saying it's not just circumstantial evidence. We also need to have the application of science in dealing with this matter.
Just as it was on the vehicle, yellow tapes covered parts of the apartment where Kimani lived.
There's a lot of dusting going on there, basically trying to look for all available clues in relation to this murder.
While detectives engage in a race against time to put the pieces of the puzzle together, friends and family are yet to come to terms with Monica's death, which they say was gruesome and robbed them of a key figure, not only to her family, but all who knew her.
Even the suspect who was arrested, I hear that he was admiring Monica. They were in college, and what I'm hearing is that she wanted so much to get close to Monica.
One by one, they lined up to say a final prayer and goodbye to a daughter, sister and a friend to many loved ones. For some, her abrupt passing was too much to bear.
As a father, I'm learning it's painful. It is traumatizing because the way Monica died, she was not supposed to die like that.
Our heart is in pain losing someone special like you, Monica.
Members of her family say the young lady born in 1990 was a hard worker who has helped her family set up business in South Sudan and never shied away from helping them in the best possible way she could. While those who gathered wept for their loved one, they sought answers, seeking to know who and for what reason she had to die.
When men are killing other people like chicken, like wild animals, it is perilous times.
The late Monica Kimani will be laid to rest Friday at her father's home in Nakuru County. But for her family, they will only be able to find rest in their hearts once they find justice for their daughter. Leila Mohammed, NTV, Thika, Kiambu County.
Away from that, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has rejected an attempt by 10 members of Parliament to go for a 2-week trip to Tokyo, Japan. The 10 MPs had written to the Speaker requesting to be allowed and to have funds authorized to attend a volleyball tournament. The trip could have cost upwards of 30 million shillings in allowances and air tickets. And as Ken Mijungu reports, a call to cut costs could have been the savior, but there is another reason.
to 8%.
The 10 members of parliament, 5 senators and 5 from the National Assembly, through a letter to the clerk of the National Assembly, wanted to go and watch the Malkia Strikers, the Kenya national volleyball team and champions of Africa play. The National Assembly's Speaker, Justin Muturi, burst their bubble, but Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka had given them a go-ahead. The members of the National Assembly who are in the list are Machakos Town Member of Parliament Victor Muyaka, who also chairs the Sports Committee, Bomet East Member of Parliament Beatrice Kones, Webuye West Member of Parliament Dan Wanyama, Jafet Mutahi of Bureti constituency, among others. The Senate was to be represented by Murang'a Senator Irungu Kangata, nominated Senator Christine Zawadi, Beatrice Kwamboka, also nominated Senator Christopher Lagat of Bomet County, and Kajiado Senator Philip Salao Mpaye.
Well, the concept of foreign travel is controversial in this country. It depends on where you are going. In some places you have to go. For instance, United Nations General Assembly meeting, which is currently going in New York, you have to attend. There's no doubt about it.
The legislators were to leave on the 29th of September and return 21 days later, a trip that would have cost a little under 40 million shillings.
I also concede there are some international travels which are maybe not priority, they are not maybe objective. So it depends on case to case. So for me, I can only tell whether it was justifiable if I could look at those documents and make a conclusion.
These members of parliament represented parliament at the East Africa Legislative Assembly Sports Day, where they beat their competitors. After the games, they were promised a trip, and this was to be a fulfillment, but the push for austerity could not be ignored.
I'm not very much aware that there was an arrangement that we were supposed to go to Japan.
In July, there was public uproar after 20 members of parliament went to Russia to enjoy the World Cup under the pretext that they were benchmarking.
We should only go on foreign trips that are critical to our committees and development of this country.
At the time, too, the delegation was led by Machakos Town Member of Parliament Victor Muyaka, who chairs the Sports Committee. At the end of that trip, an analysis of the report prepared by the delegation revealed that, save for the content page and preamble, it was a copy-paste from the sports websites. The background information on the tournament, including where to host, how to host it, bidding, budget, qualifications, draws, transport, match venues and schedules were all lifted word for word. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Staying with the country's expenditure, the current high cost of living has seen a lot of Kenyans directing their anger to whatever President Uhuru Kenyatta says, whether offline or online. Kenyatta's social media accounts are full of angry reactions from citizens who have turned the president into a punching bag on which to release their bile and anger. NTV's Vincent Otieno examines the rising wave of public anger.
Ever since the passing of the 8% VAT tax imposed on fuel, Kenyans have become an increasingly angry citizenry, especially with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Everything the president does appears to draw anger among Kenyans, both online and offline. Responses on Kenyatta's social media accounts show nothing but pure anger and mockery. A sample here, the president had tweeted on how he had represented Kenyans during the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly. However, the responses were full of mockery and anger directed at him. This one asking him not to dare take any loan anymore, no matter where he goes or what he does. Others even warned him against calling them fellow Kenyans anymore, feeling he is no longer part of them. When the president tweeted about assenting to the Coast Guard Bill 2018 and saying how important it was, a Kenyan online dismissed him, saying there was nothing anymore to be guarded since everything had already been taken away. When Kenyatta tweeted his condolences to Tanzania on behalf of Kenyans over the capsized MV Nyerere, some Kenyans wanted to hear none of it, offering to offer the president himself to Tanzanians as consolation. Political pundits term this latest move as a sign of how angry Kenyans have become after being hit by the reality of harsh economic times and failed promises from the government.
There is a lot of pain and a lot of anger, and people are hurting from economic hardships. If you move in town, you see restaurants are not full, matatus that used to be parked are not parked, vehicles on the road, sometimes you expect them there, they are not there. And definitely when people are suffering, they look for an object, an object that they associate with their suffering. And I think at this time in this country, people are associating that with Uhuru Kenyatta.
Even as Kenyans continue using online platforms to express their disappointments with President Kenyatta, political pundits say this does not come as a surprise to the president.
He knows a country can't get this bad without the president knowing. He knows. He knows, but he's under pressure from other quarters. Look, 17 billion cannot make Kenyans suffer. So he knows he's not looking for 17 billion. That VAT tax is a measure forced unto him and unto Kenyans by the IMF.
Manyora says such bitterness from the citizenry towards the president and his administration will have negative implications on the person who will vie for the presidency using the Jubilee ticket in 2022.
Because then it could affect Ruto very badly. Because if people are going to associate all the suffering, all the pain, all the economic hardships, associate this with Jubilee, and then Ruto comes up in 2022 with Jubilee, how does he convince Kenyans he's worth of their vote? See? So indeed it can.
Some people have termed this situation Kenyans find themselves in as an opportunity for them to appreciate that choices have consequences, so as to vote wisely next time. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Well, leading on that report by Vincent Odur, we sample some views from a cross-section of Kenyans across the counties on President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime.
Uhuru na Ruto ama serikali ya Jubilee inafaa kwanza kabisa iangalie mwananchi wa kawaida. Tuko chini sana. Biashara hakuna. Chakula ndio hiyo hakuna. Ni sio kuzuri. Tunang'ang'ana sana.
Usioni project yote saa hii. Upande wa county government hakuna, upande wa serikali saa hii hakuna. Hata afadhali tamu ya kwanza ilikuwa ni afadhali, tamu ya pili hakuna chochote.
The president is going out with his colleagues, spending our money with trips that are not constructive to the country. They have to limit the trips.
The government is not doing something good. Even if you look at the parliament, they don't really discuss things that may favor us, but they discuss things that favor themselves,
Jaribu kufanya comparison na ile hali ya kidunia vile ina move, tunaona hali ya kwamba imecheza hali nyingine nzuri sana, na tunaomba hata zile serikali nyingine ambazo zitakuwa zimekuja siku za usoni zijaribu kuiga, kwa sababu si rahisi mpaka pale wamefika.
Uongozi naona ukiendelea vyema. Manake kama mnataka kuendelea mbele lazima pia nanyi mgaramike pande ingine.
Kukopa wamekopa zaidi. Mpaka sasa gharama ya maisha ya mwananchi wa kawaida inazidi kuongezeka. Wananchi wengi sasa wanjiko hajimudu.
Those are your views. You can still engage us on at NTV Kenya at Gladys_Gashanja. Would like to hear your views. Well, it wasn't me, said the artist known as Shaggy in a song that purportedly sought to advise on what one should say when caught red-handed in a compromising situation. It is advised that Nairobi MCAs who orchestrated Speaker Elacha's removal from office took to heart when they appeared before the Powers and Privileges Committee this morning. But did they sell it? Well, NTV's Olive Barrows reviews their performance.
Nani aliingia na funjo kwake? Hii ni Murang'a. Mimi nimeingia hivi, hata nitawaonyesha hii ni Murang'a. Mimi nimekuja nimeingia hivi, kuingia hivi nimepigwa. Sasa funjo hapa nani ameanza? Si mimi nilikuwa naona ndimu. Mimi hakuna kitu niliona. Maybe kama wale wengine waliingia waka misbehave, hiyo ni mbaya. Hata mimi siwezi taka kitu kama hiyo. Mimi si getaka ati ikue anatolewa. Mimi haja yangu ilikuwa twende tuongee.
It was a case of the whitewash. It makes one question their recollection of events.
There was no scuffle, there was no fight, and we had only one mission: to peacefully go and inform Madam Elachi that she is a stranger and we are uncomfortable with a stranger sitting on the Speaker's office. Peacefully, until she removed the pepper spray and pepper sprayed us, thus provoking a commotion. And the commotion, if any, was for people scampering for their dear lives.
And they delivered their lines with straight faces. If there was really a violent confrontation between members of the Nairobi County Assembly and the Speaker, it was Beatrice Elachi's fault, at least by their account.
One of the reasons why we do not allow strangers is for security reasons. And true to that thing, Beatrice Elachi pepper sprayed members of this assembly. She became a security threat to this assembly. And I actually am in the process of writing a petition that we should even be more strict when allowing strangers and members of this assembly to enter.
Pengine nipate mtu anaweza nitetea, sababu unaona mimi kutoka hiyo siku macho yangu mimi ni mgonjwa. Mimi naona tu wacha iende hivyo, na kunaweza tokea good Samaritans wanitetee kotini, haki itendeke.
This was the narrative as spun by the starring cast in Beatrice Elachi's forced removal from office when they appeared before the Assembly's Powers and Privileges Committee. Theirs, they submitted, was simply the reactions of an aggrieved party and not persons operating under the steam of liquor they were accused of imbibing in before storming the Speaker's office.
Kila mchana siku ya kazi. Mimi kwanza sijui hiyo, by the way kwanza nimeokoka. Mimi nasikia vibaya sana. Hapana.
For the avoidance of doubt, I don't take alcohol. Personally, I meet a lot of members. I'm a very friendly, I have a lot of friends. I have 121 members, friends in this assembly, who are basically all of them. We meet often, so I don't know where the photo was taken.
And while the AMCAs may have put on a good show, Nairobi Sub-County Commander Robinson Thuku knows better.
We was talking of that I was roughed up. And yes, I was roughed up. I have answered you. I was roughed up by not a civilian, not an ordinary civilian, but as an MC.
Olive Barrows, NTV.
Interesting times. Well, we take off our short break right here on NTV Tonight. We'll be back with much more. to be transferred following his handling of the violence that has rocked the South Rift region and to a great extent Narok. This even as the National Cohesion and Integration Commission issued a warning to Narok Senator Ledama Olekina to desist from further inciting public utterances over the Mau.
Hakuna mambo mimi nasema tofauti ambayo ni mkubwa wangu amesema. Vila amesema tutatekeleza 100%. Tumeelewana?
Once again, the Narok County Commissioner George Natembeya has come under criticism over his handling of the ethnic clashes in his jurisdiction, with the latest being Olposimoru.
We are also calling for immediate transfer of Narok County Commissioner George Natembeya and a total overhaul of security team in Narok for having taken sides in the recent skirmishes.
Tunawacha vijana ambao wako na mishale, ambao tunaona kwa video vijana wako na mishale na mikuki, na kuwaendea vijana ambao ni chini ya miaka 18 na kuwashika ambao hawana chochote. Unashindwa serikali inalenga macho yake wapi?
They have been burning houses in Olposimoru towards Olenguruoni, and they are aided by the security forces from Narok, led by the Narok County Commissioner George Natembeya. He is another hypocrite.
This development coming in the wake of revelations that some influential persons, among them politicians, were being pursued as suspects in the recent violence.
We want to get people and hold them responsible for this kind of behaviors, because we want to put an end to this culture of impunity, where people would meet, plan these activities, cause havoc, and then like nothing happens.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission has since weighed in on the matter, ordering Narok Senator Ledama Olekina to stop making utterances and actions that would likely affect the harmonious and peaceful coexistence of communities around the Mau forest.
If I was a leader myself in that area, I would do three things. One, I would bring to the attention of these people the reality that this land is forest land. There is nothing you can do about it. You cannot deplete forest land. We will all not have water.
While government officials on the ground say the violence being witnessed in the South Rift should be treated as a security issue, the recent Mau evictions seem to be an underlying factor in the latest developments. Bridget Ngana, NTV.
Now to news just in is that Environment and Forestry CS Keriako Tobiko says a statement by North Rift MPs on the Mau clashes today that adversely mentioned him is an orchestrated effort to try and intimidate him and other government officers from performing their duties. Tobiko says he finds it rather convenient that the skirmishes started just as the government was about to start the second phase of evictions. Tobiko says the clashes have likely been instigated by those who plan to derail or frustrate the second phase of evictions. He asserts that the evictions will proceed as scheduled. Now to two tragic stories, and a man has killed his wife who is 5 months pregnant over domestic wrangles in Gumbereti village in Mogotio sub-county. In Nairobi, a woman was found hanging from the balcony of her house in Kayole Estate a day after threatening to take her own life. Rose Wangoi with more.
Residents of Gumbereti village in Mogotio woke up to some disturbing news. 50-year-old Barnabas Kosgei had brutally killed his wife, who is said to be 5 months pregnant. The lifeless body of Stella Ruto was discovered this morning outside the house. According to the brother of the suspect, Jonathan Kosgei, his estranged brother called him this morning. Upon arrival, he found his sister-in-law lying in a pool of blood. The mother of 5 had earlier run away for 2 weeks before returning home. Neighbors say the couple has been having marital problems.
Kuna majirani pia walisikia makelele kutoka kwao na walikuja wakakuta walikuwa wanapigana, na huyu bwana alikuwa ameshampiga na kalala, na tulimshuku sana bwanake sababu walikuwa wawili.
The body was taken to Ravine District Hospital mortuary. The old man was arrested and is in police custody. And here in Nairobi, a woman was found hanging from the balcony of her house in Kayole Estate. The lady had threatened to take her own life. A large crowd stood outside the lady's house, perhaps wondering what could have gone wrong. The death of the 29-year-old woman has become a topic of discussion on social media and in Kayole, with claims that she committed suicide, while others suspect foul play. Rozongoi, NTV.
Well, to the coast now, a 58-year-old man in Shanzu, Mombasa County, who had placed all his hope on a DNA test to confirm the paternity of his lost daughter, suffered a big blow on Thursday after the results excluded him as the biological father. Mohammed Burey had gone to court to seek representation after he found a girl in Lamu who he thought was his lost daughter, but was shocked after the results indicated that she was not his daughter. Senior Principal Magistrate Diana Mochache placed the child in the custody of the court, and Kevin Mutai gives us more detail.
The DNA test results brought before Senior Principal Magistrate Diana Mochache at the Shanzu Law Court in Mombasa County sent shockwaves through a family that had depended on the tests to prove that a girl whom they lost 9 years ago was indeed the one they expected to be, but that was not the case. Two families fighting for the girl, one from Kizingitini in Lamu County and another from Shanzu, Mombasa County, were both present in court when it was revealed that neither of the parties are the biological parents of the child.
According to the report, you are not the father of this child. You are excluded 0%. The mother is excluded at 0%. So this is not your child. The court is sorry. Continue looking for your child.
The DNA results killed the hopes of a family, friends and the relatives of Mohammed Burey, who were expecting a match, hoping to have a ruling in their favor and have their daughter back. But the situation has created a rift between the two families claiming the girl, with one saying they have taken care of the girl since her childhood, and the other arguing that she is the same girl taken away from them in 2009.
na hii DNA mali imefanywa hajaridhika nao, na ile maamuzi mahakama imetoa hajaridhika nao, na hatutaridhika mpaka haki itendeke, na tutamwomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alete haki, na sisi tutaomba wale wengine pia, sisi ni mandugu, haina haja uchuki.
Mtoto wao wanasema miaka 9, sisi ni miaka 12 tokea mtoto kwa standard 4. Na yule mtoto ilikuwa tukimwangalia ile mahitaji yake ya kibinadamu na mtoto ilikuwa tukimpatia.
It is now up to the court to decide whether another DNA test will be required from the woman claiming to have given birth to the girl.
For now, the child will remain in the custody of Shanzu Law Courts until the court decides on the matter. Kevin Mutai, NTV in Mombasa.
Well, business of the day coming up right after this. Stay with us.
Safaricom Business.
Let's start off with the politics of Unga. Maize farmers have strongly opposed the new government directive putting a cap on the maximum retail prices of maize meal in the market, arguing that they were not consulted. The farmers say the new prices dictated by the Agriculture Ministry do not factor in the high cost of production. Victor Kiprop with more.
Wednesday's announcement by Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri that maize meal prices in the country would not go beyond 75 shillings for a 2 kilograms packet was supposed to bring relief. But instead, the announcement has brought a sharp division among stakeholders in the sector, grain millers and government on one side and disgruntled farmers on the other.
As producers of maize of this country, we are not consulted and we have our own group. I was shocked to see it on TV that CS Mwangi Kiunjuri announcing without even telling us. He just went there and met with millers.
The government and millers say the price of a 90 kilograms bag of maize has dropped to about 1,600 shillings currently, which is half the price it cost in 2017 when unga prices skyrocketed to up to 150 shillings for a 2 kilograms packet.
If we release that to the market at 66 shillings and 70 cents per 2 kilo pack, then the market should be able, that retailers and supermarket should be able to sell that flour at 75 shillings per packet of 2 kilos.
To produce one pack of 90 kg costs a farmer 2,700.
Dictating to the farmers the price of unga is not possible because the price of maize depends on the cost of production.
Maize is the country's most important cereal crop with an average per capita consumption of 103 kilograms. However, the rising cost of production and competition from cheap imports from Uganda and Tanzania in recent years have seen many farmers abandon the crop. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
While the 310 megawatt wind power project in Marsabit County was by now expected to have started evacuating the bulk of that power into the national grid, that has not happened. NTV has conclusively established. So what is really happening behind the scenes? Alex Mwangi tried to find out.
In the next 3 to 5 days, they have finished the instrumentation. Kendraco now will write to KPLC because KPLC is the one going to pay, not Kendraco. So they will initiate a letter whereby to Kendraco, to KPLC. KPLC now writes to Lake Turkana to say that now we can moto.
That was what the public was told early this month regarding the evacuation of power from the wind farm and into the national grid. At that point in time, the project had already been delayed significantly due to the incomplete power line from Loyangalani to Suswa.
His Excellency the President himself made it his agenda to make sure that we finalize this very important power plant. But he had promised that by this month we should be able to evacuate the 310 megawatts.
NTV contacted Lake Turkana Wind Power, the independent power producer involved with the project, to find out the number of turbines that are spinning and what amount of power is being fed into the national grid. The company responded but did not give those specific figures, instead indicating that it will aim to bring an average of 10 to 12 turbines online per day, whilst also commissioning other equipment forming a part of the wind farm. On the 22nd of this month, Lake Turkana Wind Power energized the first 2 of the 365 turbines in an exercise that was coordinated by its engineers, those of the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, as well as Vestas. Each turbine is expected to produce 0.85 megawatts, putting the initial output at an estimated 1.7 megawatts.
With an output of 310 megawatts, the Lake Turkana Wind Power Project is the largest of its kind in Africa. It also takes Kenya miles ahead in terms of the use of renewable energy.
As we get into the final quarter of the year, Kenyans are hopeful that more clean energy will be fed into the national grid sooner rather than later, hence increasing the likelihood of a reduction in the cost of power amidst the rising cost of living in the country. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
And we'll keep an eye on that promise. Any bank that will be used to keep proceeds of corruption will face stiff sanctions. That is central bank's warning to commercial banks. CBK Governor Patrick Njoroge says banks have a responsibility of ensuring that they are not used to steal public funds and that the regulator will not hesitate to impose sanctions on any bank breaking the law. Now, 2 weeks ago, 5 commercial banks were fined a combined 392.5 million shillings after investigations revealed that they handled stolen funds from the National Youth Service. The Capital Markets Authority has extended the suspension of Athi River mining from trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange for an additional 21 working days. This is the second time that the suspension has been extended since the cement maker went into administration early last month under the Insolvency Act 2015. ARM has been in a financial hole for the last few months and is said to be at least 15 billion shillings in debt. That's it from the business world. Much more coming your way after this break.
NTV Business News.
Wrangles facing the water sector in Murang'a County continue to escalate, with the county executive in charge of water, Paul Macharia, facing charges of robbery with violence. Macharia was arraigned in a Murang'a court on Thursday, accused of robbing Aston Gadima of 13,450 shillings and assaulting him at Kiawambe water treatment plant on August 27th this year. Yesterday, Macharia had been arraigned in the same court, charged with assaulting Gadima, who is a board member of Murang'a Water and Sanitation Company.
Appearing before Principal Magistrate Anthony Mushegi, the water executive who presented himself to the police on Wednesday pleaded not guilty. In a jam-packed court, his lawyer Alex Ndegwa applied to have him released on a reasonable cash bail or bond to allow the CEC to continue with his work. The bond application was sharply opposed by the complainant's lawyer, who said given his position in the county government, the CEC may interfere with witnesses. The magistrate asked the prosecution to make use of the Witness Protection Agency if it feels that witnesses may be interfered with, saying the law provides for all suspects to be provided with bond or cash bail.
In that regard, the following orders do issue. 1. Bond of 500,000 shillings with one surety of like amount, or a cash bail of 200,000 shillings. The accused person will be supplied with a copy or copies of the charge sheet and the witness statements, but at his expense.
Mushegi also directed the prosecution to consolidate both cases before November 17, when the case will be mentioned.
These are trumped-up charges, and we'll be able to deal with them in the fullness of time. So for now, he's out, he's happy, and I'm sure we're going to get our opportunity to deal with those charges as they are.
Addressing the press after his release, Macharia said they will not relent on their journey to enable Murang'a County government to take over water provision and management, blaming Mwasco Water Company for the Murang'a water wars.
No amount of intimidation
no amount of threats, no amount of frustrations or disappointments will kill my spirit and the spirit of Murang'a County government in this war of ensuring that our people have got access to clean, affordable water for drinking.
Tomorrow, Governor Mwangi is expected to hold a water stakeholders meeting at Ihura Stadium to discuss the water issues facing the county. Martin Mora, NTV, Murang'a County.
Away from water matters, a man from Koroi, Kajiado County is seeking justice after armed youth raided his home, stealing everything and setting the house on fire in what seemed like an attempt on his life. The police are yet to make arrests 3 weeks after the attack.
Alan Simeka looks away, seemingly in deep thought, perhaps trying to piece together how he got here. 3 weeks ago, Alan was attacked and beaten by mob a few meters from an AP camp in Koroi before he was rescued by the local chief. The following day, rowdy youth broke into his home, threatening to kill him and his 24-year-old daughter. The police will then turn up to his rescue, but did nothing to save his home from the armed youth.
I told them, how do you leave all these strangers in my house? They did not remove them. They told me, mzee, unataka tukoe maisha yako ama nyumba? They said, ili waone ni kama tumekushika, vaa pingu. They put handcuffs on me. So they put me into their vehicle, a Land Cruiser. First I looked at the faces of everybody who was around, and then they took off. They drove off, leaving all these people in my house and in my compound.
Rongai police station provided asylum for the 50-year-old, but he was later accused of raping an elderly woman and held as a suspect. The court in Ngong ordered the release of Alan due to lack of sufficient evidence. But his experience will come after Alan outlived another death threat, this time from a police officer.
I was on my knees and in handcuffs, and he pulled out his gun and he released the safety catch. By good coincidence, his fellow police mate called Abdi was coming up with a torch and asking who will safeguard the back door in case something happens. So this policeman, the one who I was with, returned his gun, his pistol. And Abdi came, and I told Abdi usiniwache.
He says that he has lost about 2 million shillings in the vandalism. With his life in danger, Alan says that he has to seek refuge away from his home, where he has been living for the past 31 years. The police at Ongata Rongai refused to comment on the matter. Currently, Alan is a man who is running away from an enemy he is yet to identify. Achieng Wimbley, NTV at Nkoroi, Kajiado County.
Unfortunate, and we hope the man gets justice. We take another short break on NTV tonight. Brian Otwal is next with the sporting action.
Kenya's doping situation is not institutionalized, and the doping practices of Kenyan athletes are unsophisticated, opportunistic, and uncoordinated. That's the verdict of the World Anti-Doping Agency's Intelligence and Investigations Department, who delivered the report from its Kenya Project Task Force in Nairobi this evening in collaboration with the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, ADAK, and the Athletics Integrity Unit, as well as the AIU. WADA and the AIU set up the project, which was focused primarily on distance running with a view to developing a multi-stakeholder network equipped with tackling the problem. This week's meeting was an opportunity to give WADA investigators the opportunity to update the world on progress made to date.
What is good news is we couldn't find any hints or proof that there's institutionalized doping here in Kenya. We could identify, as of August 2018, 138 athletes have been positive tested, and the prevalent substances are nandrolone and EPO.
And World Marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge will take a break before resuming training in preparation for the next season. Speaking during a ceremony organized by Isuzu East Africa to award him a brand new Isuzu D-Max for breaking the World Marathon record, Kipchoge said it was a wonderful season and he was happy to have completed it. Gabriel Kudaka attended the function and has the details.
Covering a 42-kilometer distance on foot might be an impossible task to man. Covering such a distance in a record 2 hours, 1 minute and 39 seconds might require a special motivation. Apart from crafting his name as the greatest marathoner ever, Eliud Kipchoge might have been driven by the promise of his brand partners back home. And today at exactly 1 minute and 39 seconds past 2 p.m., which coincided with his record time, Isuzu East Africa manager Rita Kavashe handed Kipchoge the keys to a brand new Isuzu D-Max valued at 5.9 million shillings to their brand ambassador, as they had promised earlier.
And we are very proud that Eliud has been able to achieve that great leadership in terms of winning the World Marathon in Berlin.
The partnership with Isuzu has been really fruitful for the last 1.5 years, and I've been really, my training has been really easy because I have all my transport needs being catered for.
The delighted Eliud Kipchoge attributed his prowess to his coach Patrick Sang, describing him as the best coach in the world, not forgetting the support he got from his fans and family.
One important quality actually is the way to nurture talent. Is good in that. That's why I'm still standing for the last 15 years.
Elite athletes, including the steeplechase maestro Ezekiel Kemboi, who also attended the function, called on the government to give athletics the required attention.
So ningependa kuomba serikali ishughulike sana athletes because we are the ambassadors.
Eliud Kipchoge, who lowered the world marathon record set by another Kenyan, Dennis Kimeto, by an overwhelming 78 seconds, said that he will take a short break before resuming training for the next season, and was optimistic that his record might be broken in future.
No human is limited, and I hope we have more than 5,000 actually elite athletes in Kenya, more than maybe 20,000 in the whole world elite, and everybody is capable of breaking a world record. Records are made to be broken.
They say hard work pays, and today was world record marathon holder Eliud Kipchoge's moment of harvesting the fruits of his 2 hours, 1 minute and 39 seconds run in the streets of Berlin. Gabriel Kudaka, NTV Sport.
And former 3,000 meter steeplechase champion, that is Ezekiel Kemboi, is moving to marathon, and he hopes to win titles as well as also set records in the marathon. Also moving on, Bandari FC sealed the chase for a second place finish after a 1-1 draw against visiting Sofapaka in a rescheduled Kenyan Premier League match played at the Mbaraki Stadium. William Wadri cancelled out Kefa Swani's goal for Sofapaka. The draw sees the Dockers lie second on 59 points, while Batoto Bamungu are third on 51 points. Meanwhile, Wazito FC have officially been relegated from the Kenyan Premier League following Chemelil Sugar's 1-0 win over Thika United in a match played at the Thika Sub-County Stadium. And 5 Kenya Cup sides and another 4 to feature in the varsity competition have confirmed their place in the forthcoming Impala Floodlit tournament at the Impala grounds on 13th to 20th and 27th October. The organizing committee has confirmed the re-entry of Nakuru RFC, who last featured in 2016, as well as defending champions KCB, Strathmore Leos and Kenya Harlequins. The 4 join hosts Impala, who were dethroned by KCB 17-18 in the last final. And Cristiano Ronaldo will be able to face his old club Manchester United in the Champions League.
For your company, and a special thank you to Flora Atieno, who was our sign language interpreter tonight. Remember, Late 360 is next.